one of the things that I've been mentioned this before, but one of the things William Goldman, screenwriter, always says in his books is that when you start to make a movie, no one knows anything. No one can ever give you a script and say, this is going to do well. I know for a fact this movie's going to do well. And which I think segues into the film that we're talking about this week, Fantastic Four. Because this is really part of the news to me, is that the movie did terrible over the weekend. They're estimating that Fox is going to lose upwards to $60 million on this project. We live in a day and age where like you put, again, it's not a Marvel production company property, it's a Marvel Comics property, but you put that, I actually heard Josh Trank talking about this, that it's no longer an industry about stars, it's about brands. It's about Marvel. You put Marvel on the marquee and everyone goes and sees the movie. Mm-hmm. But this is like kind of the first big superhero bomb in a long time. So it's just kind of fascinating. So let's get into Fantastic Four, the movie that came out this week that is just not making any money. Directed by Josh Trank, who did Chronicle and who was slated to do a Star Wars movie, but on the heels of this production, he either depends who you're talking to, but he either parted way with Lucasfilm or Lucasfilm parted way with him. But the movie came out this week, and there was this weird, I think we should talk about this, there was this weird like marketing thing for them where they had what they were calling a critic embargo, which they weren't letting critics watch the movie before it was released to review it. It's very strange, which I think on the outset probably hurt them a lot. Because I think a lot of critics went into this being like, we're going to kill this. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're going to tear this apart. And I think having seen the film and having seen it 4 days after all this bad criticism came out about it and all this bad press came out about it, I think that really, really hurt the film. It was a bad idea. I don't know who thought that would be a good idea. Because when I saw the film, I didn't think it was that bad. I remember being about an hour into it and being like, this is great. And then I was an hour and a half into it with 10 minutes left, and I was like, okay, it's not that good, yeah. But it's not that bad.
It's not.
It is
not. It's not 9%.
It's not a terrible movie.
Bad.
And my last initial thoughts of this is I just want to point out, I saw this on Monday afternoon in Madison Heights. There was probably 8 people in my theater. Everyone but me clapped at the end of this movie.
In my theater too.
Everyone
and
clapped.
I had 20 in my theater, and people were clapping.
It can't be that bad of a film if someone is watching it and they're clapping at the end of it. You don't even get that in most movies.
That's weird. Even for this movie,
Mm-hmm.
clapping, like they weren't completely confused by just how rushed it felt at the end. Like, oh, what? It's the ending, I guess.
So those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah.
My initial is that it's not great, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Mitch, I mean, you think it's rushed, obviously, and we'll talk about that. But what are your initial thoughts walking out of that theater?
It was like 2 movies in one. It's a tale of 2 films. One that is interesting and dark and kind of like a horror movie in like the vein of Cronenberg, and and then about two-thirds of the way through with it. Or halfway through, it starts to fall apart, and then 2/3 of the way through with it, it becomes a dumb, cliche, lame, stupid punch 'em up.
Yeah.
And with barely any punches.
Yeah.
With like 4 punches.
Yeah.
And, it becomes like a military-industrial complex plot again.
Yeah,
Nobody... Right. And it didn't seem to be going that way at all.
No, not at all.
And I don't know how to just... it's like that first... 60% of the film is good. I mean, aside from like some stupid dialogue and other moments where you're like, what? I enjoyed it. I was intrigued. I thought it was a different take on these characters that, I'm not really familiar with, but I know they're corny and they're scientists.
They're usually silly. Like,
they're silly. They're smart scientists.
Right.
That's what they are. They're not, they're not the Avengers.
Right.
And I found that to be interesting, and I liked it, and I liked the acting for the most part. And then, that part is good, okay to good. I wouldn't say it's great. But then it gets into the point that I mentioned where it just falls apart instantly, and that part is so bad that it kind of ruins the rest of the film. And I just want to see. I'm curious what went wrong. I mean, I can kind of guess what went wrong, but I want to see what's missing, because there's clearly a chunk of like 20 minutes in there that is completely missing from the second act.
Yeah, no, that's obvious to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff doesn't get explained. There are holes, and then it's like, I feel like, I said before, I was like, well, at least it's only an hour and 46 minutes. And like, well, maybe if it was,
let's get to
it
that.
was 2 hours and 10 minutes, we would have a little more build up to this.
Right.
Yeah.
Collin, what were your thoughts?
I put off seeing this movie for as long as possible because of the reviews, and I went into, I don't know anything about Fantastic Four. I've never seen the movies before.
Oh, you never seen the first two?
No, don't know anything.
I
about
never
the
saw them
comics.
either, so I just know they're corny.
Really? You guys have never seen the first two?
Nope.
Yeah.
I've not. I think you guys should go watch them. It'd be interesting to see what you think. But go ahead.
And so after seeing all the critic reviews, I was expecting that Satan arose and smeared shit on some celluloid and started screening it. That really
You would really think that that's what happened.
Honestly,
The reviews were so bad.
Colin, that's Stan Brakhage you're thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right. Nice.
But I mean, like, Peter Travers from Rolling Stone gave it 0 stars. Like, so I don't have any expectation going into this. And like you guys said, I'm an hour into this movie and was like, all right, like,
I'm okay.
This is kind of cool. Like, it's a new take on this. What they were saying about the importance of science and teaching science and recognizing science is awesome. And that's something that's definitely lacking from education today.
Right. I loved the scene where they were talking about everyone knows who Neil Armstrong is, but no one knows who made the space shuttle.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved that.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Just the first hour, like you guys said, I wouldn't say entertaining because it's really not funny at all, but it's interesting.
There's intrigue the first 60 minutes.
I mean,
of that movie.
and this may be because I'm unfamiliar with him, so I genuinely didn't know what anything was like, who these people are. So I was interested to know about them, and I think the movie does a fairly good job of setting up their characters. But then, as you guys said, Dr. Dugan comes on screen, and I don't think it's any fault of this guy's performance at all, because I think we'll get into this. I thought he was really great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought everyone was good, to be honest with you.
But once he comes on screen, holy shit, that takes a nosedive.
Right.
But I think it takes a nosedive because it happens too quickly.
Yes.
It doesn't. There's no build up to that moment. It's just like, oh, it's Dr. Doom. Oh shit, he's exploding people's heads with his thoughts.
Yeah.
That was terrifying.
Yeah.
That was
There were
like,
kids in
oh,
the theater.
Shit.
There were kids in the theater, and I was like, oh shit.
It got violent real quick.
Yeah.
And even then, I was like, "Oh, this is really exciting." And I was like, "Okay, we're gonna get into like maybe the second half of the movie right now." I looked at my phone and I go, "We have 15 minutes left. What the shit is gonna happen in 15 minutes?"
Yeah, I
was like, "Oh wait, this is the climax."
This is where you can tell that the film you can tell that there was a different script than what we saw for sure. Because and also people have been talking about this. There's scenes in the first trailer that aren't in this movie at all. Do you remember one of my favorite shots, and people were like, I got chills that people were writing articles on this one shot of Michael B. Jordan. He's in a hallway. It's a dark hallway. He's kneeling down to touch someone, and it just illuminates. His whole body just gets on fire. It looks really cool. Not in the movie. Mm-hmm. And it's hilarious to me because, again, through the 16 and 17 episodes of this podcast, I've been constantly saying, man, I wish these movies were shorter. I've always been like, these movies are so long. When we watched Slow West, I was like, yes, it's an hour and 20. We watched Inside Out. I'm like, this is why the movie's great, because it's quick and it's short. But this is a movie and a story that they established that takes a long time to develop. Really, my first thought coming out of it was this concept that Josh Trank had created would be a really good 8-episode Netflix series.
Yes.
Like, it would be so good. It's not a good hour and a half movie. It can't be, because the superheroes don't get their powers till 60 minutes in. Mm-hmm. You know, that's where, and we talk about the pace of it. It's quick, but like you can be looking at your watch and being like, well, wait a second, when did they become fantastic? I mean, they're not even superheroes yet. It's been an hour of the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that it was part of like my issue with that end too is like they get their powers. This, like you were saying, it's almost horrific. And it would be, right, if you realize
a horrific scene.
If you realized that you were all rock, you'd be like, holy shit. If you realized that you woke up, you were on fire, I mean, you would be freaking out. And I loved all that, but the problem was the 1 year later, like,
yes.
What?
Yeah.
No, I want to see them react to this.
Yeah,
I want to see them deal with this. That was where it really ruined it for me. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Doom stuff was bad, poorly paced, but like, no, you have such opportunity to get into the characters, and then we don't even. It's like, a year is a long time. It's a long time, and you assume that they just got used to it, and that's boring because they set it up to be so interesting. I want to see, Johnny Storm deal with being on fire. I mean, I want to see him mentally deal with that. It would have been incredible, and you don't really. You get a taste of it. That's it.